Is the governor of Missouri really trying to oust the state's head of education? From the St. Louis Post-Dispatch to the Kansas City Star, news stories detail a meeting of the State Board of Education planned for next week to oust Education Commissioner Margie Van Deven. Well, the governor, according to these reports, has been packing the state board with new appointees to do just that. Why? Well, according to those news stories, firing the commissioner is part of the governor's effort to expand charter schools throughout the state of Missouri. But couldn't the governor just do that through the legislature and enacting legislation? Why does it matter who the education commissioner is? Don't they just implement the policies of the legislature, Marie?
That's correct, Nick. The State Board doesn't have anything to do with expanding charter schools, but I think what the governor is doing is responding to a campaign promise that he may have made. He got $400,000 from the DeVos folks, and so she is all about expanding charter schools and school choice, and so that's what this is about, I believe.
Is there something more to this that we need to know, Sam?
Well, I think this is it's just a naked political ploy to come through with a campaign promise. I think, too, as Murray said, play to that constituency. The DeVos people, Betsy DeVos, now the U.S. Education Secretary, gave a lot of money to the Greitens campaign, talked a lot about charter schools. And while the legislature would have to expand that charter school footprint, I think having an advocate as education commissioner certainly on the face of it would make it feel like he's fulfilled that campaign promise.
Do the arguments for charter schools improve this week, though, as we see new test results from the state of Missouri, Dave Helling, that show, for instance, in the Kansas City School District, their numbers have slipped from last year. Less than half of the district's students were declared proficient or advanced in any academic study.
That might make that argument easier if the charter schools were doing well, but in fact their test scores are equally poor, or in some cases even worse than the public schools. And remember, it isn't just about the Kansas City schools or the St. Louis schools. There's an entire state of schools in Missouri, of course, and so any great move to take money out of public education and put more money into charters would hurt in rural areas too. And you'll find people in rural districts worried about the firing of Commissioner Van Deven because they think she is an advocate for their concerns as well.
Let me just add on the charter school front that Kansas City already has 22 charter schools. There are 90 schools in the Kansas City area. There are far more schools than there are students to fill them. That is hurting the Kansas City public schools the most. And they don't even have enough, some schools don't even have enough students to field a football team where you have students playing both offense and defense because there are not enough. So adding charter schools in this area could be, very consequential for Kansas City public schools.